A very pleasant good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into O'Neill's Grill for our weekly Fan and Press Luncheon. We're so delighted to have more football talk here this week. The Dukes heading to the FCS semifinals, second time in program history here in town. JMU hosting South Dakota State's Jackrabbits here on Saturday at 4:30. This is exam week as well, and a lot of stuff going on, so I'm going to get out of here real quick. We're going to bring up head coach Mike Houston. Following Coach Houston, we will have Lewis Rowe of JMU men's basketball as well as Sean O'Regan of women's basketball. I'll also have a few other announcements regarding Saturday's ball game at the conclusion of Coach Houston's comments. So let's bring Coach Houston up here because he's got some practice to get to an hour earlier today, so we're going to squeeze this in. Coach, thank you.
Thanks a lot, and good to be back again here at O'Neill's. Thanks to Mo and Tim for hosting us again this week, and everybody that came out. Pretty exciting weekend last weekend in Bridgeforth Stadium. So, and what a game! You know, to be on the national stage and to be able to show everyone, JMU Nation. I think that everybody was treated to a pretty good college football game, and I said it the other night. Hats off to Coach Jay Hill and the Weber State Wildcats on an outstanding season and an outstanding game last Friday night. And just what an incredible game, and could not be prouder of our team and the composure that they showed, especially late in the fourth quarter. And to find ourselves down 8 with 3 minutes to go, and to come back and win the game the way we did. With a walk-off 46-yarder by Ethan Rackey. It was what an incredible memory for JMU and JMU Nation, and what a big win for our football team as we advance on in the college playoffs this season. So excited about being able to host the national semifinal this week against South Dakota State. South Dakota State comes out of the Missouri Valley Conference, a conference that we know well. One of the top programs in that conference, have 2 losses on the season. Do have a big win against North Dakota State during the regular season, and when you get down to this point in the playoffs, there are no bad teams out there. Every team left is obviously capable of winning the national championship, and so I think when you look at the semifinal matchup with us and South Dakota State, North Dakota State and Sam Houston State on the other side, you have probably the 4 top teams in the country this year. So, the tournament system does work. And we're excited about the matchup. 4:30 kickoff. I would expect Bridgeforth Stadium to be completely full. I expect it to be very loud and enthusiastic. And, our team is very excited about the matchup and ready to play.
Coach Dave Thomas, ESPN Radio, Harrisonburg, JMU Sprint Broadcast Network. The defensive fronts that you saw from Weber State, they would go between a 3 and a 4 and sometimes a 5-man front. And I know your goal was to run the football. Balancing out what they brought to you and trying to keep you off balance, how were you able to run the football?
Well, I thought our kids did really well at executing our game plan Saturday night. I thought Brian did a real good job of getting us into the right plays, because we were seeing an over-under 4 down front. We were seeing a little bit of odd, and we're seeing a lot of bear. On Friday night, and I thought Brian did a really good job of getting us in the right plays, and I thought that was critical. And I thought Marcus, probably played his best game of the year, because against a defense of that caliber, to have the kind of night that he had, really says a lot about how far he's come. But that was one of the best defenses we've seen since we've been here. And so for our guys to play the way they did in the run game, I thought speaks a lot to their preparation and the preparation by the coaches.
Tommy Keeler, Northern Virginia Daily. Can you talk a little more about Marcus Marshall and just kind of the adjustment he's had to make from coming from a triple option offense to offense like yours?
Well, it's been a lot as far as the adjustment he's had to make, but I think that he continues to improve, every single week. And certainly he was significant the other night in the run game. He was also significant on special teams with the big kickoff return that set up the tying touchdown. So I think that he's made a really nice adjustment. I don't think he's reached his max potential yet. So I think his best days, with us are in front of him. Hopefully we see that this weekend. So we're excited about his future and really pleased with his progress.
Greg Medid, DNR. Do you need the big plays on special teams to win games in the postseason. Obviously, you had the kick from Radke, but you also had the kick return from Marcus, and then punt return from D'Angelo. And obviously last year you had a bunch of them in the playoffs too.
Well, and you look, when we talk about it a lot, big plays, especially this time of the year, come from guys just doing what they're supposed to do. That 46-yard field goal by Ethan is just it's a routine kick, but in the situation it's not. In the situation with the game on the line, it's a big play. But to Ethan, he's doing the same things he does daily. Kind of the same thing for D'Angelo. A big punt return. He got some great blocking. But if you watch practice tomorrow, we're going to be working on the same exact things that caused that play to happen. So things do get magnified in the postseason. And I've told the players, when you make mistakes in big games like this, and somebody else does their job, that's when a really huge play occurs. If we misfit a run and, the offense does a great job of executing, then that's when you'll see a big run pop or a big pass play. We misplay something in the secondary, or vice versa for our opponents. So I think everything gets magnified in the postseason, and that's why it's so important for us that we got to focus on doing the things that we've always done and doing the things that good football teams do and being fundamental and doing our job. Those things become so critical at this point in time of the year, because if you make a mistake, you're playing against a quality opponent, that mistake's going to turn into a big play. So hopefully the big plays are on our side and, not the opponent's.
David Guzman, TV3 Harrisonburg. We talked a lot about Ethan this season. What did you see in him when you were recruiting him that told you that he would be ready for that type of moment, and how has Tyler kind of helped in his development?
Well, I think first, Ethan was a good kicker coming out of high school. Wanted to come to JMU. We recruited him as a walk-on. He came here, was not prepared to compete at the college level when he got here, but had a great work ethic. He's someone that he knew what he wanted to do. He had goals. We told him what he needed to do to improve, and he's worked really, really hard for the last 2 years to improve himself. Strength-wise, technique-wise, his timing, all those things have just so drastically improved since he's gotten here. So that's really just a credit, the hard work he's put in, and the hard work of Big John, our strength staff. And then as far as Tyler, I think that whole core unit of specialists, the kickers, punters, and snappers, they're kind of like their little own family. They do everything together. And so certainly Tyler, even though he's had to kind of change his role with our team, he's been so supportive of Ethan, and you'll see him, he'll be with him during every practice. He's his biggest fan out there, so certainly he's a big part of Ethan's development as well.
Well, you walk us through the process of the two-point conversion, because, you don't have a whole lot of time to make the decision.
Right.
But it didn't seem to be out of the ordinary of anything you normally do on a normal football play. Just talk us through that process, if you will.
Well, we called the time out there just to kind of get everything gathered up. You do have the option to put the ball wherever you want to on the two-point conversion, so we chose the position on the field that we wanted. Just from scouting and stuff, they were expecting, some kind of a mesh pick play out wide. We talked about it during the timeout that we thought that that's what they would expect. So we gave Brian, a run-pass option choice there at the line of scrimmage. And, the defense gave us the run right there. They had a pinching 5 technique. Aaron Stinney takes him and pins him down inside. Trey does a great job of reading it, bouncing it to the outside. Has to make one tackle or miss, and does a great job and sticks it in. So, so many moving parts in that one play, but all those moving parts done correctly by, our offensive line and Brian and Trey, resulted in the 2 points there that gave us the tie and put us in position to win the ball game.
James Ferris with the Breeze. So last week, your team outgained Weber State by 220 yards and over 15 first downs. So what do you think is the main reason why you guys were trailing for much of the second half, and what can you guys do to make sure that doesn't happen again?
Well, I think a couple things. I think number one, in the first half, we didn't do a great job of turning really good drives into points in the red zone. We came away with a field goal. We had a fourth down get stopped, and we had a field goal block. So we had 3 drives that were really good drives that, should have turned into points right there that didn't. Obviously, their 7 points at the half, really was, because of one of our mistakes. And then you look up in the second half, and, we made some critical mistakes defensively that gave up, 2 big touchdown passes that, those are things that we have not done this year. But, regardless, you make mistakes in the postseason. You make mistakes in big ball games against quality opponents. What I was talking about a while ago, big plays are going to occur. So, that's what resulted in us being in that situation. Thankfully, our guys have been in tight ball games, over the last 2 years. They didn't panic, and they did a great job of making the plays when it counted. And that's what it really comes down to. If you're in a tight ball game, which we're probably going to be in another one this week, being able to make the plays late in the ball game is going to be the difference between winning and losing. As far as what we can do to to keep those from happening, we just need to be us. Do the things that we've always done all year long. We have not made those mistakes this year. We have converted drives this year. We've been very good in the red zone. So we just got to continue doing the things that that good football teams do and playing JMU football.
Coach, how does a game like Friday strengthen a team, knowing that you guys hadn't been challenged like that often this season? How does it strengthen your team going into this semifinal?
Well, I think number one, our team understands just how good Weber State was. That is a good football team we beat Friday night, and so that's a quality win. So I think that gives our kids confidence going into the semifinal. I think the other thing is, this team, I promise you, they expect to win every time out, and that's just their mindset. And they believe in each other. They trust each other. They trust the coaching staff. They know that we believe in them, and so it's one of those deals where you have a whole group of 130 some odd people that believe in what we're doing and believe in each other, and they expect to go out there and play well. And so I think that's just another testament of that confidence and that belief and making the plays when you had to make them. And so, because you're going to be in another tight ball game this week, you're going to be in a very similar situation this week against a very good football team. So we're going to have to make some big plays at critical moments this week in order to have a chance to win.
South Dakota State's offense.
Their offense?
Yeah.
I see, the top tight end in the entire nation. First-round NFL draft pick, Dallas Goedert. He's easily the best player that we faced offensively this year. And then you look on the other side with the wideout, Winnicky, number 19. He's 6'4", projected as like a fourth round pick. Then you look at the quarterback, dual threat quarterback. Great runner. I think he ran 10.8 in the 100 meters in high school. Great thrower. Has thrown for right around 3,000 yards on the year. So you look at and it's not like those are the only 3 players they have, but those 3 players are difference makers. Those are top in the country kind of at this level playmakers on offense. They have a solid offensive line, big, strong, physical. 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", all of them 300 pounds or more. The three running backs that are all 3 very capable of being top-end backs. 44 is the starter and probably the leader of that group. But they're just a complete offense with 3 very special players. So obviously we're going to be challenged tremendously Saturday. We've got to work very hard this week, and we've got to be ready to play, and we've got to play very sound in order to try to slow them down.
Those guys?
I don't know. I think my corners are all little bitty short guys, and they're great big tall guys. So it'll be difficult. So you see us do some different things in coverage this week, and we've done a good job of playing a lot of multiple coverage situations throughout the year where we mix man, zone, and some hybrid stuff. So I think you'll see us use just a variety of things this week to try to slow them down. But certainly it's going to be the biggest challenge we've had.
Coach, sort of springing off of that, how similar is Dallas Goedert to Vollert, who you faced this week? And having back-to-back weeks with big primary target tight ends, how does that help in preparation?
Well, I think Vollert, certainly he had some size and was an outstanding player, but I don't know that there's a direct correlation because I think Dallas Goedert is on a different level. He's such a dominant performer. And his size and his athleticism for a guy of that size, there's a reason why he's a first-round draft pick, projected first-round draft pick. So, it does prepare you somewhat because you did see a bigger quality player like that last week, but certainly this is a huge challenge for us.
he starts with Roseboom.
Yeah,
linebacker. What do you see just in his game and what he can
I
do?
think he's very active, has a tremendous motor, has good size, very instinctive, but he runs very well, and he kind of has the mentality of a Gage Steele kind of player, hard-nosed player. But certainly he's kind of the inspirational, heart and soul kind of leader of that unit. But and they have a lot of good players around him. The 2D tackles and defensive end are all three big, strong, physical players. The corner Brown, Jordan Brown, ironically. Is a top-end corner, has done a great job being a playmaker for those guys this year. They have a lot of other experienced guys in the secondary, so they're going to be a challenging unit for us to face, and I'm sure they'll have a great game plan for us, and should make for an exciting matchup.
Coach, hot off the press here, your comments regarding this. The Associated Press has just released its All-Americans, and this is a whopping bunch for James Madison. First-team AP All-Americans, Aaron Stinney, Andrew Ankra, Jordan Brown, and second-teamer Rashad Robinson. 4 All-Americans from the Associated Press. It's really, that is a tremendous accomplishment for this program.
No doubt, and all 4 very deserving. The one comment I'll make just to start off with is they're all 4 great players, and they're all 4 outstanding young men, and they're great representatives of our football program and James Madison University. And there'll be successes in life after they quit playing football. Hopefully they got a little more football left in them, but they're all 4 outstanding young men. And how Jordan Brown is first-team AP All-American, but he was second-team All-Conference. That probably says enough, about that right there. So very deserving award for Jordan.
Coach, you talked about the fact that your defense made a few mistakes they customarily don't make. They're in the third quarter. Your offense for a while looked sort of unrecognizable, moving backward and not forward. And I've been around this team enough to know that when they make mistakes, they take it personally.
Yeah.
And usually they work very hard to rectify that and or more focused next week. How personally did they take some of the mistakes they made, and what's kind of your discussions been like with these guys since that point?
Well, the good thing is they're all correctable mistakes, and they're self-inflicted. So anytime that those are the mistakes you're making, they're pretty easy to fix. So, it's stuff that Coach Trott and the staff spent Sunday. Our first part of our team session right there is correcting those mistakes in practice. So they've been corrected. Our kids have forgotten about them, so they'll learn from them and move on. So I expect us to look like us this Saturday. So we've got a big challenge. We better be ready. We better be up to it.
Do you have any injury updates on Jonathan Klusterman and Jahi Jackson?
No updates.
Coach, another thing that's kind of breaking here at this time, I want to give kudos to the Offensive Residence Life as they are going to hold the dormitories open through Saturday night. So they will not close until Sunday morning now. So look at the smile rise on his face there.
Okay, that means not only do our fans and alumni have no excuse not to fill up Bridgeforth Stadium, our student body needs to make sure the student section is just as loud and rocking as it was last Friday night, because I promise you that made a difference. That made a difference in that ball game last Friday night, and our home crowd will make a difference in the ball game this Saturday. So we need everybody there loud and strong. Yeah,
Coach, another aspect of that, no, the Dukes are not playing the primetime game on Friday night, but personally I think this gives the JMU Nation the best opportunity to take full advantage of the home field advantage.
Well, and that's been the thought of everyone, and that's I think been the sentiment from a lot of our fans I've heard from, is this gives people an opportunity, especially with a 4:30 kickoff, to be able to get here on Saturday and have time to prepare for the game and be there when it kicks off. So I think it's the perfect timing, for a Saturday game, this time of the year, to have a full stadium. So I would expect Bridgeforth will probably be sold out Saturday.
Coach, sort of on that home field advantage note, you played in the national semifinal game last year at Fargo. How did working through that process of going on the road and playing in that environment condition this team? Because many of those guys were there last year. How does that condition this team and this coaching staff for this big platform this weekend?
Well, it's like we talked about last week. It is a big stage, but at the same time, the same things that have won the first 13 ball games of the year will be the same things that will give us a chance to win on Saturday, and that's You know, we got to go out there and we got to be us. You know, we've got to be on the same page offensively. You know, we've got to execute at a high level. We've got to do a great job with ball security. We've got to be the most physical team at the point of contact. You know, defensively, we've got to make sure we're on the same page, getting our calls, you know, doing our job, playing together, communicating, running to the ball, being physical, special teams, same stuff. So it's the same plan as it always has been. We just can't let, you know, all the attention and everything become the focus. Our focus has to be, you know, doing the same job we've done all year long, you know, one play at a time. You know, I think our experience that our kids have from last year, you know, being in that situation where that formula works no matter where you play and no matter who you play, you know, will lend itself to us very well this Saturday, that we just need to go out and be us.
One last question from the gentleman from the Breeze.
So after a few rough patches for the offense in last week's game, how do you describe your confidence in Brian Shore and the offense heading into next week's game against South Dakota State? And because Shore's a senior, how hard is it going to be to replace him next season?
Well, Brian threw for 360 yards and ran for another 65 and accounted for at least two touchdowns. So I'd say my confidence in him is pretty high. You know, to be 8 points down with 3 minutes to go and to win by 2 in regulation, or 3 in regulation, not many quarterbacks can do that. So certainly I have a tremendous amount of confidence in him. So does the rest of the team. As far as, you know, what going into this game, every team that's left, you know, all 4 teams, you look at the quarterback position, all 4 teams. You got Jeremiah Briscoe, you got Easton Stick from North Dakota State, you got Christian from South Dakota State, and you got Brian Shore. All 4 of those are, you know, all conference, all American style quarterbacks. So, you know, having a guy at that position that's a top end player is critical to having championship caliber football teams. So obviously he means a lot. As far as next year, I'll worry about that next year. But I'm pretty sure that I got a couple of guys on our roster that are ready to take the job. Anything else? Okay, looking forward to Saturday. Hope everybody's going to be there. Go Dukes.
Once again, thanks to Coach Houston, the Dukes, and South Dakota State, 4:30. I'll have some additional information here as we continue on with our weekly fan and press luncheon here at O'Neill's Grill. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in just a few moments.